Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, please subscribe. If you're old here, welcome back. So, today we need to have a talk. We're going to have a talk. So y'all trolls think y'all are better than I am? Huh. Let me see. Y'all have no subscribers, zero content. And all y'all do is pick on autistic people. You think I don't see it? You think I don't see it? I see it. So stop picking on autistic people. And yes, if y'all must know, I do have autism. It's not faking. If you believe it, it is not faking. I don't fake having autism. I never did. And if I did, you would be cyberbullying me. Harassment, bullying, it's not acceptable where I'm at. All your trolls ever think about is yourselves. You have no right to upload my videos, my content, anything for that matter. You have no idea what you are doing to hurt my channel. You have zero clue. Hey Dr. Kids, how are you? So y'all think it's funny to cyber harass an autistic female adult? And yes, you know who I'm talking about. This person right here. You have zero idea what you're getting into. You have no idea what you're getting into, how to get out of it, and to leave people the frick alone when they say so. And by God, you are despicable human beings who can't. I don't give a frick about you or Stephanie Montalvo. She's been catfishing you the entire time with a fake name. And you pretending to be Luke Skywalker from Star Wars? Really? You need to stop grooming autistic people. I am not gonna sit here and take whatever is given to me. I know who you are, what you are, and I will do something about it. Yeah, I did. Where's the card that Grandma gave me?
The what?
The card that Grandma sent.
It's right here. Right here by the cat's skull. Right here. So you talked to her, huh?
Yeah, I talked to her yesterday.
Yeah, that means a lot to her when you do this. That's why we gotta do this.
Wow. Hey Tony, how are you, sweetie? I'm good, Tony. I'm doing good. Let me get you up here. Hey Savage! The link is up there if you want to join.
ones who have failed here. Yes, sir. Stay back. Remain safe out there. The spy must be found and brought to me. Thanks for that. If the resistance is here, they destroy us. If the will destroy itself. Affirmative. Stand aside. I wouldn't. If the spy is here, there will be others. Find them. Your skills would be of value to us. There is a place for you in the First Order. If the resistance... Yes. We'll wait for you. Find shelter here. But I will find the resistance. Why does that pirate Onaka want the Millennium Falcon? Here we go. I will find the resistance. Why does that pirate Onaka want the Millennium Falcon? I will find the resistance. Find shelter here. But I will find the resistance. Why does that pirate Onaka want the Millennium Falcon? Here we go. I want that resistance found. Yes, sir. There is a resistance spy in this outpost. You won't arouse suspicion. Will you find out what you can? Will you help the First Order? Very well. When the time is right, we will ask again. You carry a lightsaber. Is it yours? Tell me, are you training to use it? Good. We will be watching your progress. The lightsaber suits you. Train well. Have a pleasant day. Bye. Bye. How original. All right, settle down. Searching this outpost. Yes, sir. If they are here, they will not escape. Travelers, go about your business. Go now, young one. Wait. Well, we all have our heroes, don't we? So, young one, wait. Well, we all have our heroes, don't we? So, that's you. So,
Simon sitting in the seat. We'd freed Tim's legs from between the control column and the seat. So we hooked his feet over the back of the captain's seat, and then Simon literally put his hands on the top, just so he was holding his ankles down.
Hey, look, what's going on? We're going to be all right. But I think the captain's dead.
Well, I couldn't believe it because he just told us what a lovely day it was. You know, blue skies, sunshine, relax and enjoy the flight. And then next minute, he's dead.
Simon and Alistair now face one of their most difficult decisions: what to do with the lifeless body of the captain. As he's flown their
The captain is half out of the airplane, I understand. I believe he's dead.
Roger, that is copied.
My feeling was, when he told me what was going on, it was one of disbelief, because it doesn't actually happen. You know, it's one of these things that you see in films, that happens in films, but it doesn't happen in real life. And it was sort of the hairs in the back of the neck go up, and there's this feeling down the spine, the tingle down the spine, and you think, no, it's not for real, but it's got to be.
Flight attendant holding on to him, but requesting emergency facility for the captain. I think he is dead.
Affirm. What is your passing level?
Leaving flight level 5,500 feet on 1090.
Roger, that's copied. I'll give you a little bit more space, then I'll turn you on to a heading of 180. Yeah, it's a full emergency. It's a 1
Rundle contacts the emergency services at the first opportunity.
I don't know how many people are on board, but I'll let you know.
Could you confirm that the length of runway at Southampton is acceptable for a 111?
Yes, it is acceptable for a 111, and I'll give you the figures shortly.
As long as we have at least 2,500 metres, I am happy.
I'm afraid we don't have 2,500 metres. Neither do Bournemouth. We have a maximum of 1,800 metres.
Atchison is concerned that the plane is above its maximum landing weight, being full of fuel for the journey to Malaga. And the BAC 111 can't dump fuel. If the runway isn't long enough, he faces more problems.
Whether the aircraft could actually stop on the runway, or whether the tyres would burst, or whether he would go off the end of the runway. That's obviously what he was worried about when asking for 2,200 metres.
5390. Thank you very much. We are 3 greens and flaps 45. So we are set for approach, but make it please very gentle.
Yes, I will indeed. You are number 1 traffic.
If you think about it, all the airline pilot training is done with 2 pilots, both compass mentis in the cockpit, one flying the aeroplane and the other one doing all the emergency drills. So what you actually had was the captain hanging out the window, at least one person hanging onto his legs, and Alistair flying the aeroplane with nobody else to talk to.
Speedbird 5390. It's 9 miles from touchdown. You're clear to land. Wind indicates 020 degrees at 14 knots. Descent to height to 1500 feet. QFE is 1017.
Roger, sir. Descending to 1,500 feet. Hold me down all the way. I need all the help I can get.
Roger, you'll be able to stop the aircraft on the runway and evacuate the aircraft on the runway.
He must have been about 6 or 7 miles from touchdown. And obviously at that point I kept talking until he was happy he could see the runway and was happy to continue looking out the window and land the aeroplane. At the point he said he was visual with the runway, I effectively stopped talking.
Acknowledge unless requested. It will be an uninterrupted talk down, but feel free to interrupt if you feel
Hey
the need
Autumn,
to.
how's it going, girl?
5390. Thank much. I have the runway in sight.
Thank you, you are clear to land. Do you wish me to continue with any further information?
Negative.
"32 minutes after takeoff, with 81 terrified passengers, a nearly full fuel tank, and the captain blasted out of the window, Alistair Acheson attempts the most difficult landing of his career. At 8:55 a.m., flight BA 5390 makes a perfect landing at Southampton Airport. Immediately, emergency vehicles surround the plane.
Oh my.
Firefighters remove the body of the captain
What happened now?
and lead the passengers and crew away. The body of the captain and lead the passengers and immediately, emergency vehicles surround the plane. Firefighters remove the body of the captain and lead the passengers and crew away.
I remember seeing the co-pilot, the man who really, if it wasn't for him, we'd have been on the other side by now, and is walking down the runway very slowly, shaking his head, and he got an ambulance running.
3,000.
We're not getting any answer. We have the terrain alarm. Tower Aero Peru 603. We are in an emergency.
Modern airliners were among the most complex and reliable machines in common use. But occasionally, delays in fixing a known defect have led to disaster. This is the story of one of the most terrifying and avoidable accidents in recent history. When a 747 suffered a devastating explosion at high altitude, the crew and passengers faced an unprecedented crisis. It is also a story of how one family's grief led to a relentless investigation to uncover the full, disturbing truth.
Lee can't have died for nothing. You know, you've got to find out why he died, and you've just got to make sure that it never happens again.
And it reveals how other known problems in aircraft design have continued to go uncorrected, causing further avoidable accidents.
So would I be surprised if it happened again? I would be surprised if it didn't happen again. It is a matter of time.
One of the most shocking cases of a known design flaw being ignored for years would finally take its toll on a United Airlines 747 bound from Honolulu to Auckland, New Zealand. As Flight 811 prepared for takeoff, the crew were concerned with another kind of threat that had recently led to tragedy.
We were in the aftermath of Lockerbie, and I had instructed the crew to be particularly aware because it was a through flight from Los Angeles going through to New Zealand. So in my pre-flight briefing, I had asked them to make sure that they checked any baggage that looked suspicious or anything because we wanted to be extra cautious.
Flight 811 was heavily loaded. 337 passengers, packed cargo holds, and a full fuel load. The doors closed on time, and the plane left the gate just before 2 o'clock in the morning for a routine 8-hour flight.
Well, we were going to New Zealand on vacation, someplace that we had really thought was interesting, and somebody had told us how beautiful it was. So this was kind of a dream come true.
I was seated in what's called the upper deck. I hadn't had a vacation in 5 years. And I took all my Mileage Plus points from United Airlines, and I purchased a business class ticket to Auckland, New Zealand, and Sydney, Australia. I was going to finally make that dream vacation I'd always wanted, to get to Australia and lay on a beach somewhere and forget about airplanes, forget about accidents, and get this out of my mind for a while.
the flight deck, Captain Dave Cronin was hugely experienced, just 2 months short of retirement.
Rotate. I flew almost 35 years with United. I've got over 30,000 hours of flight time and just about everything, military as well as civilian. My co-pilot, or first officer, was Al Slater. And I've known Al at that time for probably 20 years. And the second officer, Mark Thomas, was the first time I had flown with him. But we got along real well.
Tell him we can handle 33 if it's available. Okay.
The pilots wanted to climb to 33,000 feet above the Pacific Ocean to avoid turbulence from bad weather.
We did notice that there were thunderstorms 100 miles south, right on course, which was rather unusual for that time of night. So I left the seatbelt sign on.
Captain Cronin's decision to keep people fastened in their seats would save the lives of many.
We were still climbing out, and the seatbelt sign was still on, and just basically getting ready to serve beverages and then to tuck everyone in for the evening because it was going to be a long flight down to New Zealand.
Okay, tell them we're going to detour over to the left. Center, United 811 Heavy, we're going to be detouring. Some weather here, it'll be to the left, of course.
100 miles from Honolulu, as Flight 811 climbed through 23,000 feet. A critical malfunction.
This is not Pixelberry. Again, this is not Pixelberry, guys.
The next thing I knew, I found myself on the stairwell, hanging onto the rungs, and I immediately knew it was an explosive decompression.
The cargo door had torn off and ripped a huge section of the plane with it. The pressurized air inside blasted out with explosive force.
I immediately thought of Lockerbie. We actually thought it was a bomb that went off.
It was hell on earth. Everything on the airplane that wasn't fastened down, tied down, or secured became airborne. The noise was incredible.
Everything in front of us was gone. Where we were sitting, we were about 6 inches from the hole, so there was nothing in front of us or to the side of us. The whole side of the plane was gone. Actually, our feet were dangling on the hole, and I first thought we weren't going to make it. You know, I just didn't think there was any hope.
With the pressurized air blown out, the lack of oxygen at 23,000 feet was now suffocating the passengers and crew.
It felt like someone had kicked me in the stomach, knocked the wind out of me. And I remember trying to catch my breath and couldn't. You were supposed to grab those oxygen masks and put them on, except the oxygen masks in that cabin, they were ripped out of the ceiling and they weren't there. And I remember thinking to myself, this is what it feels like to suffocate.
United 811 Heavy, we're doing an emergency descent.
The pilots could tell from their instruments that the number 3 engine was failing, but they couldn't tell the full extent of the damage. Their priority was to get the plane down to a level where they could breathe normally.
Put your mask on, Dave.
But the pilots didn't know that the explosion had destroyed the entire oxygen supply.
Can't get any oxygen.
We're not getting any oxygen. You getting any?
I can't get any either.
With the plane heading steeply down and no word from the cockpit, the cabin crew feared the worst.
I remember thinking that the cockpit, which is up in the upper deck, had probably blown off the airplane too, because as far up as we could see, there was nothing there.
Now we're doing this nosedive. My next thought was, oh my God, we're just going straight down. We're going to crash into the sea.
With its airframe ruptured, severe damage to the right wing and engines, and the crew forcing it down in an emergency descent, the problems on Flight 811 had only just begun. explosive decompression, Flight 811 was still in a steep emergency descent, passing rapidly through 15,000 feet to reach breathable air.
United 11 Heavy, say your altitude now.
Leaving 15.
United 811 Heavy, we're out of 15.5.
United 11, roger.
I think we blew a door or something.
Tell the flight attendant to get prepared for an evacuation.
The crew finally began to level out at a safer altitude, but they now faced a barrage of problems. The most immediate was the disintegration of the number 3 engine, nearest to the explosion.
We don't have any fire indications?
I don't have anything.
Okay, we lost number 3. Let's shut it down. There's no M1.
Yeah, okay. Ready for number 3 shutdown checklist.
Number 3. Before you shut down number 3, the generator went off. Looks all right to try it now.
Well, let's stop the vibration anyway.
Fuel jettison procedure. Main boost pumps. On.
Center, United 811. We need the equipment standing by. Company notified, please.
Got a control problem.
Roger.
Center wing. Left, right. Valves. On.
Start dumping the fuel.
I am dumping.
One stewardess had been seriously injured by falling debris. As Laura Brentley helped her, the full gravity of her situation suddenly became clear.
As I'm holding her in my arms, I looked up, and as I looked up, that was the first time I saw this tremendous hole on the side of the aircraft that was just a void, and the seats were missing, and I immediately knew that we had lost passengers.
5 rows of seats had been blown out in the decompression, killing 9 passengers. On the flight deck, the crew had turned the stricken plane back to Honolulu, but with 80 miles still to go, the crisis now got far worse.
We got a hell of a control problem here. I got almost full rudder on this thing.
Are you dumping as fast as you can? I'm dumping everything.
We got a problem with number 4 engine?
Yeah.
Debris from the explosion had also damaged the number 4 engine. If it failed completely, the implications were severe.
If you're on 2 engines and you weigh 700,000 pounds, that is a big deal. Simply because with that kind of weight, 2 engines are not going to keep you in the air. You're going to come down.
Can you maintain 240?
Yeah, just barely.
We're losing altitude.
No, it's...
Center, United 811 Heavy. Do you have a fix on us?
Affirmative, sir. I have you on radar.
Okay, we've lost engine number 3, and we don't have full power on engine number 4. We can't hold altitude right now. We're dumping fuel, so...
United 11 Heavy, roger. I show you 60 miles south of Honolulu at this time.
Roger. I haven't talked to anybody yet. I can't get to him. You want me to go downstairs and take a look?
Yeah, let's see what's happening down there.
I think we lost a compressor, but...
Can't hold altitude.
Yeah, I told him that we're
Put
gonna...
some max on there. I got takeoff power on this thing.
Whatever you need, Captain.
Hey, Endgame, how are you, sis? What's going on, sis? Endgame, how are you, sis? You okay? What? No. Oh my gosh, now he has to start all over again. Oh man, Ungame. That's not good. That's terrible news.
Not down.
Got. You're down, we're clear to land, and everything's taken care of as far as we know.
That's why I'm not supporting you again.
200. 195. Half a dot high. Looking. 192. 195. Coming off on the power. 100 feet. $50 feet. Center the trim. Center the trim. 30. 10. 0. We're on.
We landed. It felt fast. And that was my next concern, is that we weren't going to stop at the end of the runway, that we were just going to keep going.
And all of a sudden we were slowing down. And I said, oh my God, we've landed. We're on ground. And the people started applauding.
Thank you for flying Cathay Pacific.
A crowded flight en route to Hong Kong is suddenly in trouble over the South China Sea.
What the hell was that? Engine 2 stall. Relying on one engine to get us safely on the ground.
Then, the situation gets worse.
We now have 2 engines stalled. This is not fair.
Approach. Mayday, mayday, mayday.
Damn it.
The 200-ton jet with 309 passengers is free-falling toward disaster.
I felt fear. This cannot be happening.
It looks like this aircraft could end up ditching into the water.
Unless the captain can come up with a better plan.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are starting our approach. The last of your load, emergency descent.
Cathay Pacific Flight 780 is cruising at 38,000 feet over the South China Sea.
Captain speaking. We'll be starting our descent into Hong Kong shortly. Local weather is 29 degrees with scattered clouds, so it should be a lovely spring day. Thank you again for flying Cathay Pacific.
Captain Malcolm Waters and his crew are nearing the end of a 4.5-hour flight from Indonesia to Hong Kong. Touchdown is in 30 minutes.
It's a crisp morning, clear skies, light wind. It was a nice day to go flying.
It's only the second time Captain Waters and his first officer David Hayhoe have flown together.
So, how long have you lived in Hong Kong?
12 years. Moved there when I was 23.
Waters is one of Cathay Pacific's youngest captains. Hayhoe is an ex-fighter pilot with the Royal Australian Air Force.
So what's it like flying F-18s? Oh, there's nothing to it. The in-flight service is terrible.
Flight 780 originated in Surabaya, Indonesia. It'll travel more than 2,000 miles to reach Hong Kong. The Airbus A330 is powered by two Rolls-Royce Trent 700 engines, with advanced computers aiding every aspect of flight operations.
The engineering and complexity that goes into them and the science that presents the information, they're incredible machines.
Seatbelts, please.
Madeline Avesado is the in-flight service manager responsible for overseeing 10 cabin crew members and the plane's 309 passengers.
We carried out the service and prepared for landing. It was a normal flight.
165 miles from Hong Kong Airport, the Airbus leaves cruising altitude and begins its descent.
Airspeed's 295 knots. Rate of descent 700 feet per minute. It's looking good.
The aircraft is performing perfectly. And then something goes wrong.
How was that? Strange.
I describe it as a low thumping noise and airframe vibration. So, David and myself kind of looked at each other like that's unusual.
The flight computer is alerting the pilots to a problem.
Okay, let's see what we got.
Engine 2 stall.
The plane's monitoring system indicates there's an issue with the right engine. Engine number 2. Captain Waters checks to see what's happened to the engine, but the monitoring system gives him no answers.
Now, when we were checking the parameters, they were relatively normal.
Okay, thrust lever number 2. Confirm.
Confirm.
With no explanation for the incident, Captain Waters reduces power on the engine to idle to protect it from damage.
Idle.
The lowest possible power level while still keeping it running. It has an immediate effect. The engine noises disappear.
That's better.
All the symptoms went away.
We've got fuel flow, we've got rotation.
The bigger concern is that the engine at idle isn't providing any thrust. They must now rely on their other engine to get them to Hong Kong.
A single engine approach is not a big deal. We practice it a lot in the simulator. The aircraft are certified to fly on one engine.
Hong Kong, Cathay 780. Pan, 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 pan.
The crew alerts air traffic control about the situation.
Pan, 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 pan.
Sir, we have a pan-pan call.
We declared a pan, which is sort of the first level of urgency.
We're operating engine 2 at idle thrust at the moment, but operation's normal apart from that.
Cathay 780. Roger your pan.
If we could just get priority. Thanks.
You declare a pan in order to let air traffic control know that we need a bit of help to get us on the ground quickly, and it gives them the authority to push people out of our way and then help us achieve that goal.
Cathay 780, understood.
The controller goes into action.
We have a pan-pan call from an incoming flight. Please put emergency services on standby.
Airport firefighters rush to take up positions near the runway. Flight 780 is 115 miles from Hong Kong Airport. The plane will be on the ground in 22 minutes.
In preparation for landing, please stow tray tables and return your seats to the upright position. Matt's here.
It's not normal for captains to call during a pre-landing announcement by the in-flight service manager.
Matt, we're having a problem with engine number 2. I need you to keep an eye on it from the cabin.
Roger.
He requested to check the engine number 2 if there's something unusual or if you can smell any smoke. I checked the engine and it was pretty normal, nothing unusual going on.
The pilots prepared to land the Airbus with only one engine.
I'll take the landing.
Understood. You have control. Captain Waters will fly the plane from this point on.
I have control. In an emergency situation, the most senior crew member assumes the flying role. Now I have to actually do what I've been trained to do. So it's not a normal day anymore, and you have to be on your game.
Everything is set for an emergency landing. But then, another alert and more vibrations.
Engine 1 stall. Engine 1 stall confirmed.
Things have gone from bad to worse. The monitor.
The plane was being knocked from side to side. It turned upside down. It was spinning. Persons were being thrown against the walls of the plane, falling out of their seats, and the cockpit voice recorder screaming. Unbelievable, horrible last few minutes of their lives.
Are we flying? We're flying! We're flying! Tell them what we're doing. Let me just... damn. At least upside down, we're flying. Yeah.
And it was so violently upside down that the pilots were hanging from their shoulder straps. Passengers don't have shoulder straps.
And he's just hit the water. Yes, sir. He hit the water. He's down.
After a terrifying 60-second dive, Flight 261 hit the Pacific Ocean at over 250 miles an hour. Rescue helicopters were soon at the crash site, but there were no survivors. The plane had broken up on impact. 88 passengers and crew, including 3 young children, died instantly. Fred Miller lost his daughter Abby and her husband Ryan.
These people suffered on the way down. This was not a pretty way to die. One witness who I met, a jogger on the beach down at Port Hueneme, he said, "You look like you lost somebody." And I said, "I did, my daughter." He said, "You know, I saw the plane go down." He said the plane was inverted and twisting and flipping, and then he said it spun at times, almost like a top. And he said, to think people, somebody who has a life to live is in there dying. He says it's one of the most horrifying memories I'll ever have.
Susan De Silva lost her husband Dean.
I know that they went through a horrible, horrible experience. This was a violent end. These people suffered. There were no bodies that were intact or even close to intact. And they were conscious for a long time before it all came apart.
Colleen Worley died along with her fiancé, Monty.
As a mother, keep waiting for your child to come home. And Colleen had traveled so much in her life that it was unusual not to have her just walk in the door. All this time you're thinking
Submersibles to retrieve the debris from the seabed.
At the base of operations, we had a remote operating vehicle with the side scanning sonar, which they used to map the debris field and get an idea of how widely spread the wreckage was.
At the National Transportation Safety Board headquarters in Washington, the investigators' immediate concern was to find out what had brought the plane down. The first clues came from the cockpit voice recordings.
LA, Alaska 261, we're with you. We're at 22.5. We have a jam stabilizer, and we're maintaining altitude with difficulty.
We immediately suspected some problem in the tail of the airplane, which is where the controls are. Or something was wrong back there, and that was the key piece of wreckage to look for.
The MD-83 that crashed was a revised version of the Douglas Corporation's popular DC-9, over 2,000 of which were delivered to airlines worldwide. The engines were at the rear, and the distinctive T-shaped tail was an essential element of the design.
In a big turbojet aircraft, one of the rather brilliant elements of the design is that since you're going to be loading passengers and cargo, you want to be able to have that aircraft loaded a little nose heavy or a little tail heavy. Well, in order to do that, you actually had to have that entire stabilizer moving. But the ones that are the most difficult to engineer are the T-tailed airplanes, where you have the vertical stabilizer and the horizontal sitting on top. And we call that stabilizer trim. And that is an essential element of what makes these aircraft so usable.
In the MD-83, a motorized jack screw in the tail moves the horizontal stabilizer up and down. As the stabilizer moves up, the nose of the plane moves down. As the stabilizer moves down, the nose moves up. But what role had the 2-foot jack screw played in the loss of Flight 261? The investigators were anxious to inspect it as soon as it was recovered from the seabed.
The jack screw wasn't...
Why did my fans come? Is nobody showing up into my live streams? Hi Zoe, how's it going? I'm very some people show up, but that's the first time. So how's it going, Zoe? Hi. Zoe. Hi. Someone like me?
Hey, girl.
Hi. Anyway, I finally get my feet to work. That took a long time. Finally. I just am struggling with my own phone. My broken phone was doing its job.
Trisha! Hey, Trisha. Welcome in.
Hi, Trisha. How's it going? That took a long time.
Yeah,
I was like,
Trisha's one of my followers, by the way.
oh, I know that. That's your followers. I better get anybody come to my list you hardly ever on Instagram.
Yeah, I've been busy. I've been a lot busier than expected on YouTube.
Yeah, and I made this. This is what I made.
Who's that for?
Oh, I just made it. I just made a doll. I have lots of stuffing to make dolls, and I can make anything. I can make you one if you want.
I would love that.
I can send in the mailbox too, in the envelope if I can fit in the envelope. Well, I can send you one. I can make you one. I'll definitely make you one.
Good idea. But I want one with 2 heads on it instead of one.
Oh, I can definitely try. I would definitely make you one with 2 heads. It'll be a conjoined twin. If it had 2 heads, it'll be a conjoined twin. It'll be when conjoined twins would share the same body. That's conjoined twins.
I know.
So I can make you one with 2 heads. I could definitely do that for you. And these ones can definitely fit in an envelope. You can actually make it like fit in an envelope. They can squeeze in there. I work really hard. I made this, and I use stuffing, so I got lots of stuffing. I got a big bag of it, so I can make it dolls. I can make dolls, and I can make anything. So pretty much I can make anything. This is the only live stream I can do is on Instagram. Instagram and YouTube are 2 different things. I barely have any fans. I barely have many people on Instagram. Not many people show up.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna get going now. That way I can finish my live stream on YouTube.
Yep, I do my live stream as well on Instagram. That's the only one I could do.
I love you.
I love you too.
I'll see you later.
Okay, see ya.
Mwah.
Mwah. Not to you too. Mwah. Not to you too. I can definitely make you a doll.
Mated with the nut that it screws into. It was just by itself, and the nut was found in another piece of structure a few feet away from where the jack screw was. To have a screw separate itself from a nut with very thick threads surprised us. Secondly, we noticed that there was a curled piece of brass around the jack screw, and all of the threads that you can see here, these ridges, were gone. They had been stripped out, and the remnants of those were found coiled on the jack.
3,000. We are in an emergency.
We're okay.
You know, something like this happen, you never know what is going to happen, really. I mean, you don't.
13 minutes after the right-hand engine.
Hey, Dad. How much speed does an airplane need to lift off? How much speed does an airplane need to lift off?
What kind of plane?
The ones that you used to fly.
About 80 miles an hour. 70 to 80 miles an hour, and that's depending on how much weight's in it.
How about bigger, like a jet?
About 200 miles an hour
Wow.
or more, depending on how they load it down.
Cut out, and with 130 kilometers still to go, the left engine begins to fail.
We're losing number one.
Mayday, mayday, mayday. We have lost both engines due to fuel starvation. We are gliding now.
One of the most sophisticated airliners of the modern era, carrying 306 passengers and crew, is now nothing more than a giant glider, drifting steadily down towards the ocean.
Excuse me, somebody help me. Hello?
You could literally hear a pin drop. The exterior, there was no sound in that plane, in that cabin at all.
A lot of people. In another world, the plane was dead silent, except for the people who were very upset.
List of functions we've lost. We have no more stabilizer. Blue and yellow hydraulic. No ADR 2 and 3. No anti-skid. No reversers. Rudder trim. Radio HF 1 and 2.
With the loss of both engines, we have no electrical system. If the engines aren't running, the generators aren't running. So there's no power on the airplane. There is a small device, it's called a ram air turbine. It will deploy from underneath the fuselage near the wing fairing. And it's a small propeller that deploys out the bottom of the fuselage and it spins in the wind. And that small propeller will provide very limited electrical and hydraulic systems to run the aircraft. In other words, although it's a glider, at least it's a controllable glider.
Calculate how far we can go with our glide angle, will you?
Well, we're now at 30,000 feet at the rate of descent of 2,000 feet per minute. We can hang on for 14 or 15 minutes.
What? I don't want to die on our honeymoon.
I was just trying to calm her down, try and reassure her that everything would be okay.
It's a very big struggle to stay calm when you're considering your own death.
Hey, girl!
Without power, the plane loses 1,000 feet in height for every 5 kilometers it travels forward. They can reach the Azores, but if the pilots get their calculations wrong, they may face a forced landing on the water.
Not sure we can make it to Lodges.
Air Transat Flight 236 is now drifting without fuel over the Atlantic. Although their initial calculations show that the plane should make it to Lodges, Captain Pichet must now follow standard emergency procedure for a passenger jet over water.
Prepare the cabin.
The cabin's slowly depressurizing. We need to put our oxygen masks on.
The loss of engine power means the cabin soon depressurizes.
Everybody, please, I need your attention. We're preparing to ditch the plane. I need you to put on your life jackets right now.
Within probably, I'd say, 2 minutes, I saw flight attendants with life jackets in their hand running down the aisles. Obviously, that was a sign of fear. What was happening was the first question that popped in my mind.
you don't really know what to think. But people did start to panic at that point when they were told to put on life jackets.
This isn't working. No, it's all right. It doesn't work. Remain calm. It's not working.
My best friend was talking to his father. His father died 2 years ago. But he's talking to him because he thought for sure he was going to be joining him. And I just kept the same reiteration. Oh, it's okay. One hand on one leg, one hand on the other. Both their arms clenched to mine, kind of looking at my in-laws, blinking. It's okay. It's nothing.
I kept thinking that if the plane did hit water, that we would survive. I was so convinced that we would survive no matter what happened to the plane that I was probably delusional.
Fear just suddenly just kicked in from my toes straight up to my head. At that point, they started instructing us and giving us instructions of what to do in this procedure. Take off your shoes was one of them. Don't inflate your life jacket until we hit the water. Get into this position when we hit the water. It was it wasn't like ifs or maybes. This was going to happen. This is the real deal.
Ditching a large passenger jet on the water presents severe hazards. If the Airbus 330 has to make a forced landing, the chances of survival are bleak.
In my personal opinion, I don't think these airplanes would make very good boats. Typically, an airplane with a low mounted tail like this, as it enters the water,
Yeah, we do, Sapphire.
one of the first things that's going to hit the water is the tail. And it's probably going to be ripped right off. And the fuselage is probably going to open right about in there.
In 1996, a Boeing 767 ran out of fuel off the coast of East Africa. Its last moments were caught on amateur video and reveal what happens when an airliner attempts a controlled landing on water.
Thank you, Sapphire.
Of the 175 people on the Ethiopian Airways jet, only 50 survived.
The chances of it surviving ditching and floating for very long are not very good.
If Air Transat Flight 236 has to carry out a similar maneuver, it faces an equally grave outcome. With over 100 kilometers before they reach the Azores, the pilots face a long and difficult maneuver. They need to keep the plane gliding for more than 50 minutes to reach the Azores.
There's very little time for any emotions at all. You're just so focused on the mission at hand. It's a life or death situation, of course, but your intention is to get it there. You're not thinking about the alternatives, but you're fully focused on getting the airplane to its destination.
Transat 236 Heavy to Lajes Tower. Lajes Tower receiving Transat 236 Heavy.
Do you have us
on radar, Transat 236? Tower. Lajes Tower receiving Transat 236 Heavy.
Do you have us
on radar, Transat 236? We have you on primary radar. Confirm you're at 80 miles out. Your heading is good.
Transat 236 Heavy, Lajes Tower, we are trying to make the runway. Please
describe runway, heading, and length. Lajes Tower, Transat 236 Heavy. Runway is 33 and 10,865 feet long. Airport dead ahead on your present heading. Please advise when you have it in sight.
Transat 236 Heavy, we cannot see the airport. We will tell you when we can.
As the minutes tick by, the long wait for those on board is agonizing.
That's it. This is it. It's over. It's going to die in the next 5 to 10 minutes.
I had contemplated the idea that we would die, certainly. And kind of I think in that moment you can accept it more than you think you would accept it.
I never thought I was going to die. I was in a little bit of a state of distress. I did my best not to show it, to try to keep the cool, calm, and collected, but there was certain times where I wasn't sure if we would make it.
The torture of the whole fact that you're gonna die, which I totally thought I was going to, is worse to me than dying. If I'm gonna die, just kill me now. Just get a gun and shoot me, or just let this plane go down and nosedive into the ocean and then just die instantly.
On the ground, emergency services prepare for the crash landing of a fully loaded airliner. With 20 kilometers to go, the crew now prepare for the most dangerous part of the operation, getting their plane on the runway in one piece.
6 Heavy to Lajes Tower. Do you have our distance from threshold now and weather, please?
Roger, Transat 236.
Hey,
Leslie, how are you?
I'm doing good. How come the comments are not coming on the StreamYard?
I don't know. You see, there's a little bit of a lag.
You see? There's a lag.
Yeah.
I can see the comments on my phone. But how's everything going for you?
Everything is going perfectly. Just watching some scientific video on airplanes.
Nice. I went to my sister's. Bless you!
Ha ha ha!
So anyway, I went to my sister's Girl Scout ceremony today because my sister got an award for Girl Scouts. So I went to her Girl Scout ceremony today.
That is so amazing, girl.
Yeah. And then in a couple of weeks I have camp. My camp is on June 14th.
Take me with you.
I'm sorry. I wish you could come, but anyway, on Thursday I'm going to one of my friends' graduation party. And then during Memorial Day weekend, I'm going to the movies with my friends. We're going to a private movie theater. My friends and I, we've been vaccinated already, and we're going to see Cruella, the live action movie. And Cruella doesn't come out until next week on the 28th, so we're seeing it on the 30th.
Cool.
Oh wait, now I can see the comments. Yeah, you're right, it did lag. Hello, Angel. And then on June 6th, I'm gonna be getting my shirt and my schedule for camp.
Yeah, oh, and by the way, I got the vaccine.
I told you to get in the first place. What did you get, Pfizer or Moderna?
Pfizer.
Oh, nice. What day do you get your second shot?
4 weeks away from that right now.
4 weeks? It's 3 weeks.
I know, but I got it a few weeks ago, so it's technically 4 weeks. For
No,
now.
it's 3. You're supposed to wait 3 weeks, and then I heard on the news this morning. Well, they don't know yet, but we'll be getting the booster shot.
What now?
A booster shot. It will help protect people, because a lot of people getting vaccinated. So the booster shot will protect all of us from the vaccine shot.
Wow, girl.
Yeah. So next we'll be getting the booster shot. I don't know when it'll be ready. But on the news they said that it'll be ready by fall, but they don't know when it'll be ready.
You know that it really hurt at first, but I didn't look at it.
When I got my second shot, the next day I had a slight fever and I took some Tylenol and then I felt better. I'm getting the flu shot.
Yeah. And it did not hurt at all. Telling you this because I have.
By the way, I'm almost there to 900 subscribers. I have 875.
That is amazing, girl.
Yep. I had to wake up early today. I woke up at 7:30. And then I didn't leave until 8:20. And I'm not going to be able to talk long because my sister has tutoring at 3:30. And by the way, today it's Todd's 50th birthday. Dottie's husband. Today it's his birthday. He's 50.
Yeah, I know.
I wish him a happy birthday on Instagram.
I'm one of his friends from Disney. I met him not last year, but in 2019.
But the year before, yeah, you told me. So what are you doing this summer?
Oh, I may be planning on going to Walt Disney World again.
Oh, good. What day are you gonna go?
It's gonna be in the fall, but.
And by the way, when you go to Disney, there's no more temperature checks.
Yay!
Yeah, so you don't have to go through temperature checks anymore.
Oh gosh, finally!
And make sure you be careful. And if I were you, I would get tested before you go to Disney just to be safe. Even though you're vaccinated.
You know, I may be going to take pictures with Kylo Ren at Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah, it's a little different. And there's they're still doing the cavalcades, and by the way, for the Halloween, it's Not So Scary Halloween. It's gonna be called Boo, and it's from August. Hold on, I'll look it up. And they're gonna have after hours.
They
for Blue Dash.
When was this start?
I'll tell you right now. It's from August 10th through October 31st. And the tickets will go on sale next month. And you can stay in the event, and it's from 9 to 12.
9 to 12?
Yep.
What? That is so cool, Jesse. That is so cool.
Yep. And there's not going to be a parade. It's going to be Halloween-themed cavalcade. There's going to be candy. You'll be able to get candy. There's going to be cantors. And the performance will be by the Dapper
The Dappins are at Magic Kingdom, right?
Yeah. And you'll be able to get food, and it's going to be lighting, music, and more.
That is so cool.
Yep, so it's not going to be called Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. It's going to be called Boo Bash. And tickets will go on sale in June.
Wow, gosh. You know a lot about Disney.
And then next year I'll be able to go back to school. I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing school online next year. Not sure yet. I don't think we will. And I'm not sure if I have to wear a mask at school. I'm not sure. I probably do.
Yeah, masks are not welcomed in my old school. I don't like masks, and I never will.
In Florida, we still have to wear a mask if you're going back to school, but if you're doing online, like if you're staying home, you don't have to wear a mask. Or how it's gonna be next school year.
Wow.
And last week I went out to dinner for the first time. It's been 14 months since I've been to a restaurant.
That is so amazing, girl.
Yeah. And other than that, that's it.
So how is everything?
My day is going good.
That is so amazing. I know, I use the word amazing a lot.
Yeah.
Amazing!
And then on Friday next week, I'll be doing a Memorial Day vlog.
A what now?
A Memorial Day vlog. I'll be doing a vlog on my channel for Memorial Day.
Cool.
I'm not sure when I'm gonna go live. I'll probably go live when I reach to 900 subscribers. But anyway, that's about it. So, I have to get going because my sister's gonna start her tutoring soon from 3:30 to 5. I hope to see you next time.
Same here.
Bye everyone. Have a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. I'll see you later. I hope you guys can check out my videos and my content. My channel name is Jesse Gottlieb, and I hope to see you guys soon.
See y'all guys
Rosie
soon.
will put the link in the chat. Bye everyone.
Much love.
You are 8 miles out according to primary radar. Airspeed 280 knots according to our reading. Visibility unlimited. You should have the airport in sight. Negative, Lajes Tower. Until now, we cannot see the runway.
There is no room for error. Without power, the pilots have only one chance at landing. If they miss or overshoot the runway, the result will be catastrophic. Speed increases dangerously. Too fast and they could roll off the end of the runway.
Lower the gear. Hold on. Speed is about 200. All right. I stabilized the speed. Can you give me a landing speed, please?
No flaps. Ideal approach speed is 170 knots. We're too fast.
Yes. But the runway is very long.
Captain Pichet now performs a difficult series of swerving maneuvers to slow the plane down for landing. The plane was almost on a 45-degree angle. I thought it was just going to flip over and just nosedive straight down.
The plane was circling around the island to slow down. So then we saw land and then we saw water. And when I saw water again, it really struck me that, our chance for survival had maybe was gone.
The runway is long. Yeah, sure, but at the end there's a 400-foot cliff. If we don't stop in enough time, we're toast. We're dead.
The crew line up the giant Airbus for final approach.
Landing gear down and locked. 3 green. No flaps. Only the emergency brakes. No spoilers, no reverse thrust. 4,000 feet, 195 knots. "3,000 feet, 197 knots. 2,000 feet, 200 knots.
Alert the cabin.
Cabin crew, 1 minute to landing.
Hang on. Let's go.
Vertical speed at 3,000 feet per minute. We're going way too fast. And the speed's increasing, 203 knots now. It's way too fast. 1,000 feet, 201 knots.
Tried to get the nose up. We'll ride fast.
But even if the crew can get on the runway, they face a further problem. Without engines, the normal procedures for braking are severely restricted. For Flight 236, the danger is far from over. The pilots must land the plane without power and somehow get it to stop.
Everybody, I need you to drink. Hang on.
The Airbus hits hard at high speed.
Tires have blown!
Captain Pichet tries to hold the nose down. After bursting 8 tires, the plane finally stops in the middle of the runway.
Go inside!
told you we'd make it.
I just wanted to get out of the airplane quickly. I jumped. I hit the ground hard. I don't think my rear end actually even touched the chute at all.
I didn't slide down the slide. I ran down it, and they're just, get out, get out, get out. You're just running out of this aircraft.
What in God's name just happened? I fell down to the ground, literally, and I started crying.
I mean, once you're off the plane and you're evacuated, you want to know what happened.
Piché and de Jager had flown their Airbus without power further than any passenger jets in history. As news of their remarkable achievement spread around the world, they found themselves reluctant heroes.
You don't have time really to think about anything else than taking care of the safety of your passenger. That's your main goal, and since we didn't have any engine, the other main goal was to make the landing safely. So at that time, I guess the experience came in, with the help of my colleague. That's why we made a successful landing.
You train for the worst, but you never know how you'll deal with situations like this. And reflecting afterwards, I feel we dealt in the most professional and complete manner we could.
A feeling of being grateful to see all the passengers.
Pipes, so to speak, were needed to be connected to them, but there was a mismatch.
The immediate consequences for Air Transat in that event was that they got to pay a fine of $250,000, which was the highest ever in Canada, for an error that could have been prevented.
How someone that is supposed to be qualified in their job can put the wrong part onto an engine and risk 300 people's lives is beyond me.
This incident is a very strong reminder that regulation is important and safety is important, and lives will be lost in the absence of that. And they're real lives. It's not just, this imaginary figure in your head of 300 people. It's real people who suffer and continue to suffer. As real. If it hadn't been us suffering, it would have been our families.
This was by no means the end of the story. Investigators now turn their attention to the cockpit itself. What role had the crew played in the events of August the 24th? Could they have done more to avert the crisis? Key questions remained unanswered. Questions about what happened on the flight deck. The investigation into Air Transat Flight 236 discovered that basic maintenance errors led to the fuel leak. Air Transat accepted responsibility and were heavily fined. But the focus now turned on the flight deck and the performance of the crew. What part did they play in the fuel loss?
Wing crossfeed. On.
When the crew opened the crossfeed valve to transfer fuel from the left wing tank to the right, they lost 17 tons of fuel in less than 30 minutes. Yet they failed to close the crossfeed valve and prevent further loss.
Mayday, mayday. We have lost both engines due to fuel starvation. We are gliding out.
In the days after the incident, Captain Robert Piché and Dirk de Jager were called before the inquiry and asked in detail about their actions. More than 2 years later, these findings have still not been published. What follows are possible explanations for the course of events that night, based on known facts and expert opinion.
Oil temp low and oil pressure high on number 2.
The warnings of high oil pressure and low oil temperature from the engine on the right wing would not have led the pilots to suspect that there was already a major fuel leak.
The indications that were being presented with respect to the oil system would probably not give the crew any indications. They may have questioned what was causing the erroneous or
strange indications. But there's nothing certainly in my mind or their training, I think, that would have triggered them to suspect that a fuel system might be involved.
Bet you it's a computer problem.
But although the pilots thought they had a computer error, the oil warnings were actually correct and were the first indication.
Since we had landed in Marseille, there had been some moments of tension, but nothing like what seemed to be about to happen.
Comme ça avait l'air de se présenter.
We're gonna succeed in our mission, Captain. Don't worry about that.
Major Favier has been given carte blanche by the French Prime Minister, Edouard Balladur. He decides the moment has come to act.
When the terrorists started firing with an automatic weapon on the tower, there was danger inside the plane, so we now had justification for an armed attack. That attack was carried out from the air stairs, which are mobile vehicles.
They're coming! The Daru are coming!
At that moment, everybody understood, them and us, that it was the beginning of the assault.
The cavalry charge is underway. This is actual footage of the attack.
There are 8 of us on the front right air stair. The first air stair gets to the aircraft. There's a small problem with the height, as it was a little bit higher than the door. The door hits the top of the air stair, a slight step back, the door opens, the air stair touches the plane, and the group goes in.
Then it's the apocalypse.
Get down!
And then the group that has gone in comes under a deluge of fire from the terrorists who shoot at everyone who enters, an extremely murderous fire. There's not a moment's doubt about the nature of this gunfire. They are shooting to kill.
At the rear of the plane, the other 2 squads of Favier's men enter.
Stay here, hands on your head, don't move, hide, get down as low as you can. I just wished to escape. The situation we were in was extremely violent, so I pulled the overcoat I had over my head so I wouldn't see the tracer bullets whizzing past, nor what was going on around.
Hundreds of bullets are whizzing through the cabin. Grenades are exploding. There's smoke and confusion everywhere.
I was in a rather bad spot, so I tried to make myself as small as possible. You stop breathing, and you imagine that you're hard enough to stop the bullets.
The snipers on the terminal roof can see the terrorists in the cockpit. Frustratingly, can't get a clear shot. The co-pilot is blocking their view. But that problem is about to be solved. Actual video footage shows the co-pilot, Jean-Paul Borderie, falling onto the hard concrete. But that problem is about to be solved. Actual video footage shows the co-pilot, Jean-Paul Borderie, falling onto the hard concrete. Yet he still manages to stagger away to safety. It gives the snipers the chance they've been waiting for. At the rear of the cabin, the French Special Forces is evacuating the passengers through a hail of gunfire. But cabin steward Christophe Morin finds himself unable to escape.
I tried to take with me a woman, a passenger who had been sitting next to me, but she was too fat, she could not come. So we just held hands.
Unbelievably, only a few minutes after the assault began, most of the passengers have been rescued. By now, only one terrorist is left alive, but he's going down fighting.
There was only the flight engineer and me left in the cockpit. We looked at each other, and there's just this one terrorist. He looks at us, one after the other. His 3 colleagues are here, dead or nearly so. Out of spite, he could have killed both of us. He didn't. What more can I say?
I think that after 54 hours, there is mutual recognition and respect, quote unquote, between the terrorists and the hostages. Yes, bonds were created in this drama. And I think these bonds were activated, and that they perhaps contributed to saving the lives of some members of the crew.
The French news footage captures amazing scenes of the battle. A GIGN man is blasted out the plane by gunshots. The final surviving terrorist holds them at bay for almost 20 minutes, but his time and his ammunition are running out.
The flight engineer and I looked at each other. We knew exactly the situation we were in. As long as there were gunshots, we knew we could die. But once it stopped, or when we thought it had stopped, then we said, all right, it's over.
But it's not over yet for the captain and his flight engineer. The GIGN are not sure who were the terrorists and how many are still alive. Everyone is suspect. The battle around the cockpit has been so fierce that everyone believes the flight crew are dead. The French special forces suspect that any survivors may be terrorists in disguise. The flight engineer is hustled off the plane and handcuffed.
Hands on your head. I'm the captain of the plane. Now we'll get out. Not with my hands on my head.
I would never have left the cockpit with my hands on my head. After all I had been through, I would not be punished like a child.
When we saw Bernard and Alain come out, we couldn't believe it. Alain was handcuffed and his shirt was covered in blood. He said, I'm deaf. But we said, yes, but you're alive. We told them, he's our flight engineer, let him go. It was incredible.
For 20 minutes, the gun battle has raged on board the crowded aircraft. Hundreds of shots have been fired, numerous grenades exploded. Yet all 173 passengers and crew have survived. Captain Delem himself escaped with bullet wounds to his right elbow and thigh.
The crew had a specific responsibility, the duty to save the hostages and to safeguard the plane. The crew in general and the captain in particular, they all rose to the occasion.
9 of the 30 GIGN men have been wounded, 1 seriously.
When I assessed the gravity of the GIGN men's injuries, and when we learned that none were fatal, then yes, I could consider that the operation overall had been a success.
Well guys, I'm gonna get going now. I will see you all this evening. Hope you make it this evening. Bye everybody.